Eh,
I don't know what I'm doing.
I guess I'll go in. Sitting comfortably. It's like bounce.
Yeah, I'm actually sitting there.
Alright, as you all look for a seat in this crowded room, Julia will read the aspiration.
Victorious Buddhas, compassionate ones, throughout the infinite worlds of the 10 directions, grant your blessings, so that the inner and outer work that I accomplished today bears the fruits that multiply beyond imagining and extend to the very limits of this existence to benefit myself, the ones I love, and the countless other beings of the 6 realms.
Thank you. Alright, so today the topic is human nature, and I realized yesterday that we are at page 100 and something of our 300 pages curriculum, so it means that the first year is over. So in a way it's a lot, but in other ways it's still, we still have a lot to cover, don't we? I was realizing, speaking with Noma,
Your mic's Zenke. Seems your mic switched. Seems.
just a sec. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Now it's back.
Let's try it like that. Okay, so sorry. So I was realizing by speaking with Noah that we've been doing this 6 months from to this point, and we still only have covered 1/3 of our curriculum. So it goes to show how much we still have to discuss in this little course, and I think it's very interesting. So today's topic is human nature. It's a very short one. So I'm gonna just invite Julia, I guess, to go over today's reading and do the chapter.
Shall I read from here?
Well, I mean, you could, with there's the four
Yeah.
of us, that'd be fine.
Man's nature. Man's nature is like a dense thicket that has no entrance and is difficult to penetrate. In comparison, the nature of an animal is much easier to understand. Still, we can, in a general way, classify the nature of man according to 4 outstanding differences. First, there are those who, because of wrong teachings, practice austerities and cause themselves to suffer. Second, there are those who by cruelty, by stealing, by killing, or by other unkind acts, cause others to suffer. Third, there are those who cause other people to suffer along with themselves. Fourth, there are those who do not suffer themselves and save others from suffering. These people of the last category, by following the teachings of Buddha, do not give way to greed, anger, or foolishness, but live peaceful lives of kindness and wisdom, without killing or stealing. There are 3 kinds of people in the world. The first are those who are like letters carved in a rock. They easily give way to anger and retain their angry thoughts for a long time. The second are those who are like letters written in sand. They give way to anger also, but their angry thoughts quickly pass away. The third is those who are like letters written in running water. They do not retain their passing thoughts. They let abuse and uncomfortable gossip pass by unnoticed. Their minds are always pure and undisturbed. There are three other kinds of people. The first are those who are proud, act rashly, and are never satisfied. Their natures are easy to understand. Then, there are those who are courteous and always act after consideration. Their natures are hard to understand. Then, there are those who have overcome desire completely. It is impossible to understand their natures. Thus, people can be classified in many different ways, but nevertheless, their natures are hard to understand. Only Buddha understands them, and by his wisdom, leads them through varied teachings.
Is that it? Thank you. All right. So, it's funny, in my version it says human nature, Julia's using the printed book, and was called man's nature, so I guess they made it more socially acceptable by changing man for human, so we understand better what they meant in this new edition. Time Wins, you had your hand in the air. Did you have a question or something?
Yeah, I just want to apologize for being late. I just saw the time was changed too late.
Right, and I didn't even realize that this was today, so I forgot to warn people in advance, so I expect this is going to happen a lot today. Thank you for showing up, though.
Right, thank you.
I got here like 5 minutes ago, too.
Right. So the thing is that you guys are mostly in Europe, I guess, and not necessarily subjected to these acrobatics that we do with our clocks.
We have them as well, I guess, but at a different time. Not now, I think. So, yeah.
All right. Okay. So, human nature. Maybe we start by thinking about what is nature anyway. We often say that very lightly, Oh, it's human nature. Usually we say that when it's something bad. When people kill one another, or when they fight, or when they abuse, extort, or whatever. It's human nature. What is it? What is human nature? How would you define the nature of man? Define it as you had.
You mean Rousseau?
Yes,
or you mean Locke?
I mean you. I mean you. Time, you have your hand up?
Yeah, I think it will be like surviving. Like that's a human nature, to survive and make sure you multiply.
I like that answer. So, Julia, what's your take on that?
Yeah, I think the survival instinct is the strongest, but then for survival we need to associate ourselves and work in a community or cooperatively to really thrive.
I also I'd say that survival and getting the species further on and stuff is a nature of all life forms in general, but I think the most special thing about human nature that I don't really see with other life forms like animals and stuff is that we have an almost obsession of exploration and trying to define everything, define definition, to be able to understand everything that is going around us throughout history. That's also what caused war, conquests, such things. That's something special to our nature, I think.
So, if I kind of sum that up, could we say that we are like a species that is regrouping for its survival, but it's also like a thinking species?
I think it's. Look, for example, I don't see dogs or cats asking, why do I exist? Is there something beyond this planet? Is there something beyond? But if it's purely survival, I would say that humans would forget about space right now and would be more concerned about our Earth, about our planet. Yet we are doing illogical things still at the same time that goes against survival itself, because we are obsessed with wanting to know that what we cannot explain. And that's something that's very much in our nature that you don't really see with an animal. An animal just wants to eat, to sleep, to survive. We seem to want more. We are like not satisfied with normal nature.
So the book states that animals are easy to understand. I think it's one of the very first phrases. And so how is it that they're so much easier to understand than us, would you say, Kat?
I'd say it's actually I don't know. Many people would say different things. Some people
Nova,
say.
you have an idea?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't want to interrupt. You want to finish up what you were saying, Casper?
Well, but I don't know, because some say that we might be higher beings, but at the same time, I don't immediately think that's the case. But I don't know.
I think,
Hmm.
yeah, I think one thing that we're missing here, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm curious what you guys think about this. I think it's in animals a lack of morality, and in humans a conscious entity of morality, you know? Like, it's beyond survival at this point. We're past our basic needs of human nature. We've descended or ascended, you know, take your opinion, take your pick, into the idea of morality. So, like, yes, I could kill this other human being to gain the things that I need to survive, but morally, that's not right. Animals don't have that. They see what they need, they take what they need if they need it. You know, no mercy, no moral compass getting in the way of that necessary survival. So at least that's just my thought.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Very valid as well. So animals would lack that morality, and that's what might make them easier to understand. And in a position, morality is one of the things that make us complicated. Our desire for exploration as well. Our, you know, a lot of anthropologists will tell you that it's our prefrontal cortex. When we evolved like complex thinking, we became really like something else, and it really detached us from the rest of the species of this planet. But yeah, in a way, I think that it's because we work very hard not to be in touch with our instincts, right? We don't really want to be animals anymore. We do want to be moral. We do want to be maybe more of the cosmos than this little beast that has to eat and drink. But what makes us difficult to understand might be also because we overthink everything. An animal is kind of connected to its needs, as you were saying. It's easy to, if you see an animal that is hungry, you give it food, it will eat it. While a human might reject it because it's not the right kind of food, or he doesn't like the person that gave it to him, or so on and so forth. So it's not just our instincts that move us, I'd say. So basically, when a cause is easily connected to an effect, we call that, the book at least calls that easy to understand. But when the effect is unexpected, or when the cause is separated from it by time or other occurrences, then our poor little human minds have a hard time connecting these factors and fail to understand the relation. So in today's lecture, the people that were very reactive, those that became fearful or lustful or angry, are called the easy to understand. And it's because they're very close to what an animal behavior would be, isn't it? There is very little space between their emotions and their actions, between their needs and their desires and their actions. And but those that do not act like this are otherwise almost described as impenetrable in our lecture. So they are the equanimous ones, difficult to sway, impossible to manipulate. And since they are not the victims of their inner turmoil, they live life on their own terms. But still, we have to remember that there's a limit to this. Everyone needs to breathe, eat, drink, and sleep to survive. And I would say that this is why when you get into like a war zone, or when a human being is stressed a lot, they would kind of regress and revert to more animalistic behaviors. Because in the end, if you need to survive, that's all that matters. All the ethics get dropped very quickly in survival situations when the danger is strong enough. Maybe not for everybody, but a good majority. I always like to refer back to Maslow's hierarchy of needs when thinking about what is actually essential to human life. And so only the lowest layer of the pyramid, the one associated to physiological need, looks necessary to me. Things like security, friends, and prestige might be desirable, but they are not absolutely needed. Me, they're desired. Like I desire to have a good home that will keep me safe, but I mean, if I'm exposed to the rain, I won't necessarily die either. My experience of life will depend on my mental fortitude and my ability to deal with the never-ending rain at this point, but it won't necessarily kill me. So,
Try that in North America in the higher latitude.
well, the Inuits have been making houses of snow, igloos, for a couple of millenniums before the government finally bought them homes and gave them snowmobiles. So it goes to show that in a far from perfect setting, people manage to survive anyway. And I would be curious to speak with like an Inuit elder, and they must have incredible emotional and they must have incredible resilience and fortitude, those that live through those years. Because imagine to face the elements like this with what you have to have inside. Or maybe they're just drunk all the time and it keeps them warm. Who knows? I bet it's a mix of both.
It's just a historically popular way of doing it.
That's right.
I mean,
And by the way, I was reading in psychology, the magazine Psychology Today last week. There's a guy that studied penguins and noticed that a lot of the behaviors of the penguins are motivated by keeping warm. So that's why they all get together and they warm their eggs and they kind of switch places to keep the eggs warm. And so a lot of their society is about staying warm as a social unit. But then the guy kind of transported his study to humans, and instead of looking at what we say and how we justify our behavior, he starts seeing traces, historic traces of us doing exactly the same, of us connecting and holding one another and kissing one another and sleeping together and all of those things that the Inuits and the penguins do actually. to keep warm. So bringing buddies together as a survival strategy. Now in our heated homes, it doesn't mean much, but there was a time where it did save our life. So I thought that was very interesting. A lot of that also, the zoologists, the people who study, primatologists, for example, people who study monkeys and apes, have the similar findings. There's actually Edmund Morris that wrote a book called The Naked Ape that I recommend if you get a chance, and it draws a ton of parallels between human nature and what animals are doing. So in a way, we think ourselves very sophisticated in our way of understanding our reality and rationalizing it has many layers. But when you look just at the facts, as if we're watching ourselves on a documentary, we're not that far from the animal kingdom. So, okay, so back to Maslow's pyramid. So the lower part is like the needs, and then you climb up a little bit and you discover, as I said, security, friends, prestige. So the more like the desirable stuff. But then at the top of the pyramid, Maslow called the very tip of it self-actualization. And if you actually go and read Maslow's work, you will start probably to think that it reads and feels like a person experiencing an awakening or enlightenment. It's just like the equanimous ones, the self-actualized individuals cannot be manipulated. They've been there and done that, and now they don't play the game anymore. So that brings a significant amount of peace and serenity to them. And this kind of maturity, Maslow argued, is what we should aspire to as we grow older. But it doesn't happen all of a sudden. I think we learn through life, and our mind won't have the same degree of stability depending to what we went through, the age we have, the intensity of what we went through, and so on. So in Zen Buddhism and in many martial arts, you hear about 4 states of mind. Any of you guys know these? Shoshin, Fudoshin, Mushin, and Zanshin?
No.
So I'll cover them briefly. This world actually is called Shoshin. Well, there's the big one that's called Shoshin. This is just the temple, the meditation temple of Shoshin. But basically it means beginner's mind. And it is the open and willing attitude of the new student that hears about a subject for the first time. And this is important because as we grow older in life, we accumulate so much knowledge, judgments, and certainties that we become unable to embrace the smallest facts and events of life. There is this story, the Zen story of a professor that goes to visit a Zen master, and he says, "Oh, Zen master, teach me about enlightenment." And the Zen master says, "Well, first let's have tea." And so he starts pouring a cup of tea that the professor is holding, and then he keeps on pouring and pouring until the cup overflows. And then the professor says, "The master, won't you stop pouring? It's overflowing." And the master stops pouring. Like your mind, like this cup, your mind is full of your own knowledge and opinion. You must first empty your cup if you want me to teach you anything. Because he knew that the university professor would come there with a bunch of opinions about what Buddhism and enlightenment was to begin with. So Shoshin is really this: that if you want to be able to learn anything in life or to face your circumstances intelligently, you must be in touch with it. You must be in a receptive state. The problem that we have is that from, like, medically speaking, 18-year-old, our inner voice becomes louder than the outside world, and we lose touch with it. So people who manage to stay connected and display the beginner's mind, on the contrary, are just right there. They're very present. And they're also very nice to be around because they never challenge the things that we think we know or the things that we think we are. They're good sports. They're humble. They think they don't know. They act as if they don't know, so they won't start kind of dominating you. They might look up to you even. So applied to you, if you were in the Shoshin mind state, makes you somebody who is nice to be around as well, not somebody who's full of themselves. And then I have a charity that I run that's called the Fudoshin Institute. So it's another mind state that I had chosen there. And Fudoshin means immovable heart mind. So it is when you start understanding really how desire works, how human motivation works, how fear and anger work. When you start getting a grasp on this, you establish a strong foundation for your life that, these things lose power over you. Fear loses its power to move you, desire as well. And so gradually, as these realizations thicken and deepen, you become, in that way, immovable. Fudoshin is important in martial arts because, and I'm an ex-boxer. I used to do Muay Thai boxing, and you cannot walk into a fight scared of your opponent because you're gonna make mistakes. You cannot also be thinking about what you're gonna be cooking for dinner as punches are being thrown at you, because that wouldn't be a good defensive strategy. So you need to be all there. You need to not be impressed by the crowd, by your opponent's technique or aspect and all this. So Fudoshin applies not only in the ring but everywhere in life. Like if you are not moved with every little breeze, then you kind of remain in control. So Fudoshin is to reach this state where your heart and mind are very much tougher this way, and much more difficult to impress. So I'd say you're harder to traumatize as well in the Fudoshin state. But the only thing that makes that possible is if you're really in touch with your emotion and gain some understanding on how it works and how it moves. Any questions about these two states, Shoshin and Fudoshin?
Well,
Here?
I'd say that I've met a lot of people that are not in this Shoshin state at the moment. I mean, for example, I was explaining at one time why a certain thing happened, because I'm living with older people a lot and they look down upon me because I'm from a far younger generation. They automatically dismiss what I'm saying just because of my generation. So a lot of people, once they get older, just think they're always right most of the time. They become stubborn.
Great wisdom.
Yeah.
It's like with old age, it's likely that experience will come, but it doesn't mean that wisdom or understanding is following, unfortunately. So I think I had idealized growing old when I was younger. Like I thought it was like automatic wisdom, but I've seen quite a few people die while still being pretty foolish by now. So I know that this is not a given, and I've seen also a lot of younger dudes that are very, very smart. And if you look at some of the best Tibetan masters that in the world right now, they're quite young actually. So it's interesting to think of that.
So
however,
Sorry.
I would just say that there's a trap in Buddhism when we read the scriptures or when we talk about these things, because it's always easy to recognize people around us that fit with the scriptures. I mean, Buddhist scriptures are such a good description of what it is like to be human. that we are bound to recognize our brother, our sister, our cousin, our friends, everybody, our boss. They're all in there. But it really becomes useful when we recognize our own self. When I can see that, oh, I have not been humbled in this situation, or I have lost it and I panicked in that other situation. That's really where those teachings hit the mark and help us grow. So just wanted to, because you based your commentary on an observation around you. I just wanted to remind us that we all do that. We all, in different situations, we all do that all the time. But we don't realize when we victimize others with those behaviors most of the time, and that's what's going to be the most effective in changing and transforming her. There's something you wanted to add, Catherine?
Well, I was thinking then if it's not old age of just by growing older and absorbing all kinds of information that wisdom comes from, and some of the younger people, then I wonder what exactly it is then.
I don't think this is proven or anything 100% certain, but it feels to me that you need to break down to find wisdom in some way. If you never suffer a lot in your life, and let's say you are born happy and everybody likes you and you never have big problems in life because you're going along well with everybody, then what's your need to wake up and to become enlightened? You have no need at all. You have a pretty good life. So you probably just won't wake up if that's the type of life that you're living. But if, on the contrary, your life context or your decisions lead you to a very dark place where you have to realize that something is wrong, then you start looking for what is wrong. Then you start looking for alternatives on how to live happier, better, and so on. And it kind of cracks the eggshell and some lights start coming in, but no light gets in the egg before it's cracked, I guess. So that's kind of how I look at this. So old people are more likely to have been cracked, don't they? If you spent 90 years on this earth, you've been exposed to a bunch of things, so it's likely that some of it was not that easy. At least you have a lot more chances to be cracked than a 10 years old. But in the middle, it's not that clear because you could experience the toughest thing you will ever experience at 14 years old or at 25, or you could experience it at 72. You can't say for real when that's going to happen to you. But I do believe that there is this component that kind of despair needs to kick in for you to say, okay, I'm gonna find the master within. I'm gonna coach myself from now on into a better life, which is kind of what we're doing, when we're having those realizations. So does that make sense to you? Yes, for what I'm saying.
Yes, it does.
So third state is Mushin, and Mushin means without mind, literally in Japanese. And it is the state of mind that is free of mental chatter. So, we started, we were humble, we learned about ourselves, we became immovable because we understood how emotions sway us. And now we're starting to realize that we are adding a lot of drama to the world by labeling everything and by creating narratives about people wanting to hurt us or wanting to please us, or people liking or disliking us, or the things that we want to own, things that are desirable, things that are undesirable. Same with events and so on. So at this point, we have dealt with the emotions, and now we kind of start uprooting them. If you have your perceptions under control, if what you see, hear, taste, touch, and smell have no power over you anymore, then the narrative is not born, then the emotion is not born. So that's why Mushin is called without mind, because mind basically finds its place in solving problems for us and doing the technical things that we need to do, but it stops creating drama all the time and creating problems. So that's the Mushin state. And it's very relatable to many teachings that we've covered so far in Buddhism, where we say we often make our lives worse just by just because of the things that we tell ourselves about, like procrastination, for example. You have to do the dishes, but you think that you're gonna suffer so terribly that you keep postponing it, and you watch your TV show, which is more desirable instead. So we do that in many other ways. We become anxious of our next day at work. We become anxious about our future, about our finances, about everything, and it's all extra mental chatter. So when mental chatter stops in your evolution as a Buddhist, or almost stops, then you have reached the state of Mushin. And then comes Zanshin. And Zanshin is kind of the state that governs them all. It is translated as remaining mind, but it's not remaining mind as the part of the mind that remains. It is the remaining mind as the mind that stays. So what that means is that you're stable, basically. Your state of no mind, it has now become effortless. So you're looking at the world around you. You are not triggered by the world. You are not wooed. You are not creating any drama for you. And you consistently do not do those things. And if for some reason, at one point you experience something that you have not encountered before, let's say a bomb goes off in your vicinity and it startles you, then if you are in the Zanshin state, you will immediately notice that you've been startled and you will bring yourself back. As if, and the book was talking about writing on sand and writing on water. So Zanshin is definitely like writing on water. You are human, so you will have a reaction, you might be startled, but you will recompose yourself very fast, and you will go back to the state of normal. You won't keep thinking, oh my, a bomb exploded all day long and tell all your friends about it. Now, the minute that the bomb went off and you noticed that you were in disarray, you bring yourself back together, and that's the end of that story. Right? So that would be Zanshin, and it is the highest state that is possible for us to attain in terms of enlightenment on this earth. More enlightened than that, you're basically dead, or in a zombie-like hypnotic state where you're completely desensitized from everything. And that's how some people practice. Some people who don't really get meditation and don't really get what waking up and enlightenment is about. They when you talk to them about Fudoshin, they think they should be rock solid like a mountain. They should be movable like a mountain. But instead of being solid because they have understood the nature of their desires and of emotion, they're being rock solid as resistance. They are basically opposing stronger emotions and resistance to those that they were experiencing before. And then when you talk about Mushin, well, they are fighting their thoughts at this point, trying to not experience anything, instead of just having realized that to stop labeling and to stop the narratives, just create less drama. So they're just fighting thoughts because they've decided that thoughts are bad. And then they try to stabilize themselves in this very disagreeable state of numbness. See what they're doing is they're numbing themselves down. So if we think that equanimity is being numbed, it is not. Equanimity is just about finding your center over and over again, recovering quickly from whatever problem. And that's the real discipline that we need to. which little parenthesis there, the subject that I have studied as a young kid, because I was struggling with self-discipline, and so I would undertake long projects, and I had trouble finishing them and stuff like this. So I I became so desperate that I said, well, what is this thing about discipline? And so I read about it, and I discovered that self obviously means me, right? And discipline means to be a disciple of. So self-discipline is actually to be a disciple of oneself, or basically to take the time to understand who you are and to live accordingly. So for those that came to last Wednesday's session, I spoke about the jigsaw puzzle and how life is a big jigsaw puzzle and how you should take the time to recognize what type of piece and what color of piece you are so that you find your place in this big life, in this big picture. And so it's pretty much the same with self-discipline there. The true realization will come from taking the time to practice, to look within, and to make small adjustments in our lives so that we live better and better in a more natural way, which we are back to human nature again. There's a big contradiction in nature because you see prey and predators everywhere. So the world is pretty much in a constant battle state. The world is a war zone. But at the same time, there is incredible harmony in the cosmos with the planets, but also the cycle of the sun and the night and the rain and the sunshine and wind and the plants and us and the animals. So there's a lot of harmony there. So what does it mean then for us to live naturally? And that's an important question because as Buddhist practitioners who are looking for enlightenment or for perfect happiness or nirvana, it's easy to get into that mode of where we want to reject challenges, we want to reject suffering, we want to reject pain. And the key to this is that you are not supposed not to suffer. You are not supposed not to experience pain. These are part of the world. They're all around. We will be, as long as you're alive, you will be challenged. What makes a big difference is how you deal with it. And the better you deal with the challenges, the quicker you can be back to harmonious living with everything else. But if you're challenged by a friend and you're all worked up and then you turn around and you bite your mother or your sister or another one of your friends, then you're just perpetuating the wars. So it's very, very important how we handle those things. So living naturally is about taking and giving. Taking whatever comes and hopefully trying to give something better or something more harmonious. So it's not negating the things that are, and it's not accepting them either, but it's welcoming them as they happen, because we have a choice, really. That's how life is. So once you become skilled at welcoming things as they are, and kind of bringing them into your own spaciousness and diffusing the bomb there before you restore it to its environment or before you pass it to somebody, I would say is the practice of harmonious and natural living. And well, that was a quick lecture, and that's pretty much all I have to say about that today. Since we have a bit of time, is there something that you guys would like to discuss this week, or do you have any questions or commentaries about what we've just covered? Yes, Nova?
So we talked basically this entire time about these mindsets, but how do you actually progress and build and grow as a person through these mindsets? Like, what do I need to be doing, practicing kind of in my free time to kind of consciously put myself towards this goal of Zanshin that you were talking about earlier?
So probably the main, most important practice is mindfulness, which I don't know how much training you have in this, but basically it's based on this tiny realization that our attention most of the time is put on outward things. We read a book, we watch the computer, we talk with people, everything's going on outside and outside. And then you hit the bed at night and then you notice that, oops, this is hurting. Oh, I must have pulled a muscle. Or then the mind, then you start to notice what's going on in the mind and you see it's completely polluted and full of crap. And the reason you're just noticing that is because you have not been mindful at all day. You've been aware of your exterior, but you've not been aware of your interior. So the three poisons in Buddhism are fear, which bring desire, and then which are frustrated into anger by impermanence. So fear, desire, and anger. That's very easy, right? It's just three, and it's truly just three. It's even less than three. It's just fear, actually. We come to realize that later. If you don't look inside, how could you possibly detect when you are in a state of fear or in a state of desire or in a state of anger? So the practice of bringing the mind back to the breath and noticing when the mind wanders away from the breath or whatever object you have chosen is kind of forcing you to notice what's going on in the mind. So it is actually this part of mindfulness meditation and of shamatha that is important. The little split second when you notice that your mind has wandered, that's the muscle you're trying to build. That's the thing that you are trying to cultivate there. And it's something that we're all capable of. It's just something that is not taught to us. That should be taught like in primary school. But unfortunately, it is not. Because once you have a good mindfulness muscle and once you start noticing what goes on inside of you, then the work kind of starts doing itself. Because if you detect that you feel fearful, well, who wants to feel fearful? Nobody. Who wants to feel angry? Nobody. So as you are more in touch with those feelings, you just come to those states where you say, oh, I am so frustrated right now, but I shouldn't. I'll take a couple of breaths, I'll relax, I'll take a walk outside, whatever, and I'll come back from it, and then I'll resume my day. That's what mindfulness allows you to do. You're not completely sucked into the vortex of your emotions. And so as you have those, maybe in the beginning, 1 or 2 moments a day where you're more mindful, and then they become dozens of moments a day, and maybe hundreds of moments a day, and maybe it becomes your entire day that you're mindful at some point. Well, as that happens, then can you see how that could give birth, for example, to all of the other mind states? For example, if you notice that you're closed, well, then you will naturally kind of fall back to Shoshin, and you will tell yourself, oh, I know I should keep an open mind about this. I don't know everything. So Shoshin is born. And then Fudoshin, if you're seeing that, oh, in this situation, every time I exchange with my boss, for example, I'm fearful. Then you will start to understand the nature of the fear, and you will become less and less fearful of your interactions with your boss. And then Fudoshin is born. And then as you realize that you can diffuse all of your fears one by one, then you will start to see the arm of the mental chatter, and so you will step into Mushin. And when you have enough practice with Mushin, you will simply fall into Zanshin. So basically, it's a very boring answer, but we need to be aware of what's going on inside of us so that we can handle it. If we're not aware of it, there's nothing we can do about it. That's how it slips away and keeps us in like a cycle of suffering. Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense. Yeah. Thank you.
I do have to say that about Zanshin and enlightenment and all that, like a river and I said this before, but I think about negating drama, like negating fear and stuff. I think to be able to still help or feel some kind of empathy towards another human being, give me a sec. Yeah? Sorry for that, give me a sec.
I'm not sure if Casper hears us, but he used the word negating, and I just wanted to.
Sorry for that.
So Casper, I was filling the blank here, and I was just mentioning that you used the words negating fear and negating. I don't remember the other one, maybe desire.
Yeah.
But it's not about negating. It's about really just recognizing them and dealing with it, understanding it, diving into it. So if you have fear, you must understand and go and explore your fear. Because that's another thing, you know. If you're scared of something and you go and face it and sit with it, it will become it's going to be difficult to do, mind you. It's not fun to sit with fear. But the next time around, it's going to be so much less impressive.
But it's not about completely getting rid of fear or these basic values, because I think that's still what keeps us human at the end. Our limitations as well.
Right. And I mean, if somebody puts a gun on your forehead, by all means, be afraid. You know, yeah, you're in a dangerous, genuinely dangerous situation there. Doesn't mean though that you should handle the situation in a panicking fashion, and that's where all of this comes in handy. But should you experience fear, well, if you don't, you're gonna get shot. So, or you would do crazy things like walking on hedge of rooftops and suspending yourself by one toe from a cloud or whatever. You would put your life in danger all the time if you were free from fear. So these things are there to protect us. Imagine if you were not afraid at all to burn yourself, then maybe you would burn yourself regularly. Is that simple? The pain exists for us to be mindful of some situations that could destroy our body and our minds. But again, this phrase is very useful in Buddhism. Pain is mandatory, but suffering is optional. Right? So it's the same thing with fear. Fear will happen, but you don't have to lose a night of sleep over it. Fear you hear something cracking at night, for example, and you wonder if somebody's in. Well, you could panic all night long about this, or you could just hear it, go check, and go back to sleep. So it's kind of that attitude of when you detect that you have such an internal turmoil happening. It's that discipline of raising from your inner bed, having a look, what is this about? And then when you know, you can resume your life as it was before. No need to make it bigger or invent chimeras about it, you know. I always say that in medieval times, people lived in burgs, so they had these tall walls around the towns and the villages. And it's one colorful period where people believed in dragons and centaurs and all kinds of creatures. And the reason for that is that they never went outside the walls to see what was really there. Just like when marine merchants were sailing the seven seas, they wouldn't go very far. So they were afraid that at some point there were waterfalls with sea serpents and that it would just fall into nothingness. So when we don't go to the bottom of things, when we don't take the time to familiarize ourselves, we tend to spook ourselves and invite all kinds of monsters and create all kinds of horror movies. So it's the same with our emotions. If we're just running away from our emotions, we never really know what they're about. But if you take the time to sit with them and tame them, you will still feel them. That's what they're for. That's why they exist. But you will have quite a different relationship with them.
I keep
Any
thinking of
other
I keep
reaction?
thinking of the quotes
Oh, sorry.
whenever I hear fear. I mean, because we speak about fear, I keep getting that quote of you that's stuck in my head. Fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, hate leads to quotes in the prequel movies, but it's always something that comes back.
Right. And it's really how it is. It's really how it is. That's condensed Buddhist wisdom there, and I did not invent that. It's taught almost like this, you know. And the exact thing is fear and the illusion of separation will lead you to desire the things that you lack. By losing the things that you desire or not getting them, you will be frustrated. And by being frustrated by the world, you will become more scared of the world. And it spins like this endlessly until you're basically in a, curled up in a little ball in the corner of the room, riddled with anxiety or depression. That's what happens. So if you experience anxiety or depression, it is a good sign that you are doing that cycle, that you are experiencing samsara, kind of making the ride a little bit harder for yourself. So these are invaluable teachings, I'd say, once we start incorporating them to solve those types of states.
I do also have a question in terms of, I mean, I've been listening to that one monk that kind of got famous on YouTube. I kind of forget his name all the time. But he also said that
Which
the one that is kind of famous on YouTube with his jokes, and he's always the funny guy, you know.
Yeah, Minger.
Yeah.
Minger Rinpoche.
He also said that he used to suffer from severe anxiety, but I was listening to some other monks talking, and it comes quite a lot often that one of the main goals for pursuit was to control their anxiety. It seems like it is one of the major points that led these people in the first place, their fears and anxiety in general.
Myself, I had a lot of trouble with anxiety, and I had insomnia for the first 25 years of my life. I started having insomnia when I was 4 years old. It crippled my life for a long while. 2 months of proper meditation, and it was mostly gone. I still have the occasional struggle, with sleep, but it's nothing. And before, I didn't know what it meant, sleep all night. So, yeah, it's miraculous, honestly, when done right. And hello, Jared and Mar. I tried posting
Hello.
a little bit more on Discord about this, but it's daylight savings time in Canada now. So actually, we started approximately an hour ago. We're about to move into meditations. So I just meant to
Discord,
tell you
guys,
guys for
Discord.
next. Yeah, no, but just look up maybe Eastern time for next session, so you're sure that you're aligned with us for the next few months. But nice to have you, nonetheless. Did you record that, Casper, by the way, today?
Yes, I did, and I probably will put all 3 videos on YouTube this week. This is the 3rd one, because
Awesome.
I haven't processed all the other 2 on YouTube yet, so yeah, I'm recording. Hey guys! Say hi to the camera. Not like I'm going to be the next PewDiePie or anything.
So that's going to be useful if people skip the meeting today. So.
Indeed.
All right, so that's pretty much all I had to say for this session. Any other reaction? Okay, so let's do our little meditation. Actually, you know what? It's been a while we didn't do this. Let's do the 9 breath of Naropa today. So, for those who don't remember, the way that works is that you will plug one nostril with a finger on the side. So you push on the side of, let's say, the right nostril. And then you breathe 3 times deeply from the left nostril. Then when you're ready, you switch on the other side. Plug the other nostril, deep breath in, very deep. When you are done with those 6 breaths, take 3 deep ones with both nostrils. So that's an ancient yoga breathing technique. It is meant to oxygenate your blood without you passing out or coming to hyperventilate. You may notice that it has also a calming. So we can start breathing normally. Do a little body scan. So that relax our head, the top cranium, down to our eyebrows, sockets, the area. Make sure there is no tension. Speak so softly. Jaw closed with lips touching, but teeth not putting any tension together. Have your tongue resting on the upper palate. You could even have some air passing through your lips. And make sure you're well aligned. You can swing back and forth a little bit on your chair or on your cushion. Make sure that the spine falls naturally to its place and is straight with the neck. And also do it and sway from left to right a little bit, that it fall naturally as well. So when both axes are aligned. Good. And then make sure there is no tension at the base of the skull. Relax the muscles there. Release the tension. And bring that relaxation down to the shoulder, upper back. Your hands should be resting on your thighs or on your knees, but in a very comfortable position. So as not to create any hardness in the chest. So the chest should remain soft. Kind of all the muscles along spine, lower back, belly. Let's relax the arms from the shoulders, forearm, hands, fingers. You close your eyes, you relax. Usually keep it one quarter. Make sure your legs are providing a good stable base and that they are as well. Nothing is hurting. You need one that adjustment. Now, your leg, your feet, your toes. Imagine that you are sitting in the sun and feel the sun touching your skin, warming you. You can hear the little birds that play in the background and think that you're out there on the countryside, taking a little sunbath, feeling very harmonious with everything. And then just follow your breath. The reason we stop all movement, we immobilize our bodies, fat part gland, is so that we can experience our inner world more vividly, so that we can get in touch more easily with our inner thoughts and emotions, so that the unconscious becomes conscious. So as you follow your breath, let anything that needs to arise, arise. Watch it come in, watch it go. You see a thought, label it thinking. Observe it, let it go. It be. If you feel a hit, observe it. It be. No need to judge. Itches don't kill. If you feel that there is something like vibrating or pulsating in your heart, there might be some feeling there that we're not with. You may like to observe them, but always keep at least 25% attention. Practice that with belt. all know people that are having a difficult time right now. Maybe they have a lot of fear of the state of the world. Maybe some of them are angry. Maybe others that we know are not making the bad life decision. Or maybe that these persons are actually us. Maybe we are making the best decision, dealing well with our surroundings. So let's focus on our heart. Let's visualize a big ball of light that's growing from our heart. Very peaceful, very spacious. Let us cultivate that. We breathe part of it. Every time you inhale, make the ball of light a little bit larger, a little bit stronger. Till it encompasses your entire body. Let us imagine the people that we know and love, or even those that we don't know, that might be fearful, angry, struggling. Let's imagine that this big ball of luminous peace that we are cultivating grows larger to encompass our home and our neighborhood. We may imagine all of these people in their little dark balls of struggle being conquered by the peace that we are sending them. So let us imagine that we take their struggle on whatever it is that they are healing. We are strong enough to take it in. We are spacious enough to take it in. And so let that darkness dissolve into this peaceful light. Let's spread it. It is said that the mediocre man cares for himself, that the good man cares for his family, but that the truly excellent man considers that the entire world is part of his. Just take the entire world under our umbrella. cessation of suffering, and to look at those challenging feelings that we have, fear, desire, anger. But although we need to get acquainted with these, to become mindful of them, it is also good to become acquainted with other ways of living by practicing generosity, by studying ethics and morality, cultivating our virtue, by practicing renunciation and non-attachment. Is also a good idea to tap into our own wisdom or church people, studying the great minds of our human history. Can transform our relationship with efforts, find more energy by reducing our mental chatter, and learn to be more patient with our more honest and sincere. And work on our willpower, resilience. And give ourselves more opportunities to experience it. But more than anything, we should try and understand what love is, what it means to love and to be loved, beyond passion and possession and jealousy. And as we get acquainted both with fear and with love, we should naturally move away from fear and more into love service. Soon to discover that this is what Buddhism is about. Be aware of love, to be mindful of it, so that we can claim it back when it's gone. So it is not really about noticing when fear arrives in our life, but more about noticing when love and harmony is going from it. That's what we really need to be mindful of. So, in this Vipassana phase of our meditation, let's have a personal reflection about love and what it means to us, and how we could bring more love into our life. Let's still follow the breath with 25% of our attention. Do that personal reflection. actually try and cultivate feel. On relaxing while you let the feeling sit in your heart. The mind wanders, bring you back to the breath. All right. Let's open our eyes, stretch a little bit. Here you're back in the world. How do you guys feel?
I'm good.
Any interesting insights during meditation today you would like to share?
Yeah.
Please.
I'm gonna go tell my over that lover. He's amazing.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
she deserves that more.
This is a profound insight, you know. That's what these kinds of meditation will do to us. Sometimes I like to think of my daily routine from the moment I wake up, you know, and ask myself, how could I be more loving from the moment I wake up? Because there's a comedian I heard recently who said, I promise that when I wake up in the morning, I'm thinking about me. I don't think about others. You know, why is that? Why is that? And
That's
it's
so
true, you
true.
know. We have our little routines, but why not try and be caring at every single hour of the day? Why not be careful with our words and our actions every single moment of it? It's very difficult to do, but so much, such a great opportunity actually to make the world a better place. Our world also. Thank you for sharing that. Anybody else? Okay.
No, just
Then I
tired.
guess. Oh, hey, Mark.
No, just tired.
Okay. Well, let's hope the meditation will help you find the rest that you deserve. By the way, if you guys never tried that, if you really are into meditation, you know, here we're doing 30 minutes, but you could try to have that to an hour and to 2 hours. But if you ever manage to bring it to the level where you can do like 4 hours of sitting meditation in a row, you will find out that you probably almost do not need any sleep. Because the alpha state that we get into is very creates a lot of rest in the body. And the period that I meditated the most in my life, I barely slept at all. You just be in perpetual meditation, which is quite an interesting thing to experience. But it doesn't work
Sleeping
very
with your
well if you
eyes
have a day
open.
job. Yeah, almost. Actually, there is if you practice dream yoga, there is the state where you meditate and then you kind of fall asleep during meditation, but then it is conscious dreaming and you keep on meditating in your dream while being conscious and then back to your awakened meditative state. It's a bit trippy, but it's fun.
Well, I've actually fallen in lucid dreaming, and that I was like lucid in my dreams and was like, oh, guess I'll do a meditation session right here then, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of how it goes. So, Julia, would you be ready to do the dedication for today's session?
Sure.
Thank you. All right, let's rise.
For the benefit of beings without exception, I dedicate without any reticence whatsoever all the merit accrued through virtuous acts to the incomparable expanse of totality.
Thank you, Julia. And namaste to all of you. Thank you for being here. And hopefully I'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Now, the shine.
Oh, that was a quick.
Oh yeah, sorry. Old chair.
We do not talk inside, we talk outside.
Okay.
Okay.
Join folks.
Yeah.
Here is attacking gun. How are you?